Hey Don, why'd you rob Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali like Barack Obama robbed us?
Because I loved them.
Damn.
I loved them, and I thought it was just so nice that they would give me an opportunity for me to make them rich so that I could rob them, because they were poor when they came to me and there was nothing to rob.
Today, King is 91 years old. The man has been famous since the 70s and had a vice grip on the sport of boxing during his golden age. With the fake persona, wacky haircut, and the gift of gab, Don pioneered the art of selling big money fights. Don was always in the spotlight and more memorable than some of his fighters. He engineered some of the most entertaining boxing fights in history, the Rumble in the Jungle and the Thriller in Manila, to name a few. Being both a business and people genius, Don finessed his way into almost every major boxing star's pockets during the sport's golden age. And for that, he's remembered as a silver-tongued, money-hungry crook. King had many critics over the years, but nobody could deny his ability to stage a major event. He's been slandered, sued, and investigated by the FBI, but survived every single time. King gave boxing the corrupt label it has today, but changed the scale and economics of the sport forever. For himself, Don bought multiple estates, a Statue of Liberty replica, luxury cars, and a 400-acre ranch in Ohio. Today, he has a net worth of $150 million. So, what's the story of the boxing game Finesse God?
The Finesse God. Hey, man, y'all told me to rate the Don King. Some people like Don King. Most people don't like Don King in my comments. So, we are here, man. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Let me know who to react to next. But, hey, they said he the Finesse God.
Don grew up poor in Cleveland's ghettos, losing his dad in a steel plant accident when he was just 10 years old. So he sold bags of peanuts at local gambling houses to get by. Don and his brothers made a killing doing this, and as a sales gimmick, they added lucky numbers into the bags. People would then use the numbers when betting on the mafia-controlled numbers. For the unacquainted, the numbers was an illegal lottery where a bettor attempts to pick 3 digits to match those that will be randomly drawn the following day.
That's crazy.
In high school, Don tried his hand at boxing. The kid, they called him. However, after getting knocked out a few times, he decided that boxing wasn't for him. Instead, King's hustle of choice would be the numbers. A math whiz, natural-born hustler. At just age 20, King was well on his way to becoming a successful numbers runner. Cadillac Slim was his new street name, and by the 1950s, he was the most successful numbers runner in Cleveland. With the profit, he set up a nightclub too, the New Corner Tavern Supper Club.
Hold on. Ain't the numbers just luck, though?
With the likes of
Ain't numbers just luck, though?
B.B. King and Muddy Waters would perform. It was a big spot in Cleveland. In 1954, 3 men from Detroit tried to rob one of King's gambling houses. He shot and killed one of them, but beat the charges.
Damn.
He had shot the man in the back. On April 20th, 1966, a Cleveland police officer would arrive to the scene of a scuffle outside a local bar. He found a 6'4", 250-pound Don King was stomping Sam Garrett into the ground over a $600 debt. Sam's alleged last words, "I swear I'll pay you back, Don." He fell into a coma shortly after and died 5 days later. Don was originally charged with second-degree murder. He was facing life in jail. After some tampering with the jury, the charge was magically brought down to manslaughter, and Don was sentenced to 10 years instead.
Damn.
While inside, Don embarked on a mission of self-education.
This nigga
He read and crammed hundreds of books and quotes, turning himself into a man who could quote Shakespeare at will, a gimmick that would serve him well in his promotion career.
He killed 2 people.
When he got out, Don was fully set on not going back to jail. Looking for a more legitimate hustle, Don considered music, film, and then settled on boxing. Not as a fighter, but as a promoter. With his close friend, singer Lloyd Price, the two brainstormed Don's venture into the promotion game. Don also needed Lloyd to introduce him to Muhammad Ali, a close friend of Lloyd's. And finally, they needed an idea for an exhibition fight to announce Don to the boxing world. This was their idea for the Ali exhibition fight. Don had the idea to model himself as an MC and a promoter, add some live performances, and use Ali's presence and charisma for what would be a stunner of a show.
Damn.
With no real experience, Don was basically doing an impression of a boxing promoter. Also, many people had reservations of renting an arena to a convicted killer. But Don had an uncanny ability to deliver on outlandish promises. He secured an arena, and the exhibition happened on Euclid Avenue. 8,500 people turned up. Since it was an exhibition, Ali fought the DJ, a sheriff, and an actual fighter that night. It sold 81,000 worth of tickets, a record for an exhibition at the time. King's presence stole some of Ali's thunder too. It was Don's big break, and a lot of people could see his talent. After covering all the expenses, Don King gave the hospital only $1,500, a small amount considering all the profit was meant for charity. This would become a pattern with Don, and the first glimpse of the con he really was.
Damn.
In the
So he supposed to give a
70s,
hospital?
Don was getting more influential, especially with the heavyweight contenders at the time. His character started becoming more clear too. In 73, Don flew to Jamaica to watch Frazier versus Foreman. Don arrived with Frazier in Frazier's limo, but left the arena in Foreman's limo after Frazier's knockout loss.
So by the second round, when he done bounced him up and down like a basketball, I was over there in George's corner. So I went into the ring, and so George said, "Man, you said I would do it." I said, "I sure did, George. I knew you were going to do it. You're the champ. You know, he's the new champ of the world." So George said, "Come on, you got to stay with me." So now I go back out, and the ministers and all of the motorcycle cops and all, and we go out the entourage. I came with the champ, and now I'm going back home with George Foreman.
That's crazy.
In the motorcade.
If Joe had knocked George to one knee up and down like a basketball, you would have gone home with Joe.
More than likely I would have went home with Joe because.
Damn.
Because to the victor goes the spoils, and if I was anticipating going into the ring of promoting boxing, you promote winners, you don't promote losers.
And as a gimmick, he came up with his signature look and on-camera persona as well to distinguish himself from the other promoters. In the 70s, Bob Arum of Top Rank Promotions was Ali's promoter and lawyer. Ali also had all-white promoters previously. The civil rights movement was big at the time, and something Ali was passionate about. This was the start of Don playing the black card with his fighters, that black folk needed to stick together, and greedy white promoters were out to scam and rob them. Don also had the energy of an uncle you had known your whole life, so he did a great job befriending them. In 1974, Don and Ali would link up again for a new venture. Don conceived the idea for a super fight between Ali and a rising knockout machine in George Foreman. Ali shot at the heavyweight title again. Don guaranteed $5 million to both Ali and Foreman, a record payout for the time. The $5 million offer removed any doubt they had of fighting each other. It also prevented other promoters from booking the fight. After the contracts were signed, Don had 4 months to come up with the venue and the $10 million.
Damn.
He had neither. Don got in touch with Mobutu Seseko of Zaire, a man who had his predecessor executed and publicly hanged his own officials.
What the fuck happened? But Don King, he slick with it though.
Don got in touch with Mobutu Seseko of Zaire, a man who had his predecessor executed and publicly hanged his own officials. He secured both the $10 million and the venue, and the plan was in motion. By the time Ali touched down in Africa, he was one of the most famous people in the world.
Hell yeah.
Ali quickly got to work, demonizing George Foreman and getting the fans on his side. When George landed, the fans already hated him and chanted, "Ali Boumaye," meaning Ali kill him. Ali had successfully created a good guy, bad guy dynamic. Ali was seen as an underdog too. A few of the creeds of big money fight promotion. Don King was about to make history. There was a 3-night-long musical festival before the fight. On the day of, 60,000 people and international media turned up. The heavy-handed George wailed on Ali for the first 7 rounds, but using his rope-a-dope technique, Ali baited Foreman into punching himself out.
Yeah.
In the 8th, Ali decked Foreman with a straight right, shocked the world, and immortalized his legacy. The fight made $100 million in pay-per-view buys, $550 million today. It was watched by an estimated 1 billion people too, a quarter of the human population at the time. With literally his first professional fight, Don King was instantly propelled to being the biggest promoter in the game.
Damn.
After the massive success of Rumble in the Jungle, boxers were flocking to sign with Don King. Don's next brainchild was the Thriller in Manila, an event he set up with the help of former Filipino president and kleptocrat Ferdinand Marcos. a tiebreaker considering they were 1-1 on each other. This time there would be a $4.5 million purse for Ali and $2 million for Frazier. Months of media antics and trash talk drummed up massive buzz for the fight. On the day of, they filled the stadium and the world tuned in for the trilogy bout. Ali ended up winning after a grueling 14 rounds, remarking that it was the closest he had ever been to death. The fight more than delivered on the hype and was a massive financial success. Thriller in Manila and the Rumble in the Jungle were King's first 2 pro fights as a promoter.
That's
ever.
crazy.
No small feat.
How the hell bruh? Think about that, bro. You just a nobody, and then you get Ali at exhibition, then you get Ali again, and then you get Ali again. It's a hell of a start off to your career.
After the Thriller in Manila, Don would go on to promote 5 more fights for Ali, as well as working with many of the best fighters around, including Sugar Ray Leonard, Leon Spinks, and Larry Holmes. When Muhammad Ali lost to Larry Holmes in 1980, Don paid him $6.8 million of a guaranteed $8 million purse. King persuaded one of Ali's trusted advisors, Jeremiah Shabazz, to take a suitcase to the ex-champ, who was still concussed after a brutal loss in the ring. It contained $50,000 and a contract that stated this was all the remaining prize money Ali would receive for the fight. It also gave promotion rights to King for any future fights Ali may have. Later down the line, Larry Holmes would sue Don King as well, after accepting $100,000 for a $300,000 lawsuit. Holmes commented that King looks black, lives white, and thinks green. By now, Don was
looks black, live white, and thinks green is crazy statement.
Known to have both fighters under him, like when Ken Norton fought Larry Holmes. Both men were signed to him, so he was a winner either way. He had the WBC in his pocket as well, meaning he had the power to ruin careers and prevent title shots for fighters that didn't sign with him. After Ali retired from the sport, Don was searching for a new star to manipulate. Tim Witherspoon was a 23-year-old, 6'3", 200-pound heavyweight who went pro in 1979. When Tim Witherspoon beat Alonzo Ratliff in 1981, Don King popped up from the crowd and was quick to congratulate him. Don was incredibly powerful, and in the late 70s, he had signed the champ, Larry Holmes, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th contenders. He was paying more than other promoters too. Don King became Tim Witherspoon's promoter, but soon after Tim was being forced to postpone a fight due to an ear infection, Don tried to force Tim to commit to fighting. Tim refused and had his boxing license suspended.
Damn.
Now to get his license back, Tim had the option to sign an exclusive contract with Don, with his adopted son Carl King as his manager, or starve. Not long after Tim ran low on money and had to sign, one of the contracts he signed was blank, implying King could add whatever terms he wanted to the contract after. One of King's trademark tactics. For his first title fight under King.
Niggas be signing blank contracts. I heard that with Floyd Mayweather. I think he was signing some blank contracts while he in this Parliament, bro. But dang, signing blank ones?
Tim made $50K in a narrow split decision fight with Larry Holmes. All the money went to Don. He took his cut, and then Carl took his own. On top of that, there were hidden fees. Fees for seeing Don's doctor, training at his facility, and meals and management fees. Tim would fight and make more for King, but his percentage cut would get lower and lower even though Tim was a big draw at the time. Tim got his next heavyweight title shot 3 years later. He beat Tony Tubbs after a close, hard-fought 15 rounds. But when Tim got his check, it only read a measly $10,000. Ironically, in a time where heavyweight title fights were paying 6 figures, Tim Witherspoon versus Frank Bruno was next for his first title defense. Bruno was a young future champ with 27 knockouts in 29 fights. 40,000 people turned up, the most in England since when Ali fought Henry Cooper in 1963. In the 11th, Tim got his hands raised after a TKO victory. Once again, after all kinds of made-up expenses from Don, Tim's cut was only $90K.
Damn.
Bruno, the loser, made $900K. By now, Tim was frustrated, bitter, and angry. He gave up on Don entirely, but had one more fight on his contract. His next fight was against James Bone Crusher Smith. By his own account, Tim planned on throwing the fight and losing in the first round. Exactly that happened. Had Tim won, he'd be next up for a fight with King's newest prospect, Iron Mike Tyson. Tim has claimed that he felt liberated after that knockout. He sat down with his lawyer and sued Don for $25 million. But to win the case, Tim needed solid proof that Don had stolen from him. After months of sifting through paperwork, they found the numbers they needed, and in response, Don sent an army of goons trying to intimidate him to settle for less. It was well known that Don King was connected to the mafia as well.
Damn.
The case went on for years more. Don upped his offer to $1.2 million, but Don was facing tax fraud charges at the time. If Don got indicted, it would take years for Tim to get his money back. Tim took the money in the end and ended up fighting till he was 45.
No, get off me. Get off my hand. I ain't doing it. You scumbag. You.
Damn.
A teenage Mike Tyson was introduced to Cus D'Amato after breaking his former trainer's nose in a sparring match. Hailing from Brownsville, Brooklyn, a 13-year-old Mike had dozens of arrests, hundreds of street fights, and was allegedly already his adult height and weight. Cus saw a young prodigy in Mike and would go on to teach Mike his formidable peekaboo style. After Cus died, the shark started to close in. Don King was by far the biggest shark. The heavyweight division was booming, and Don had many of the champs in his stable already. Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champ in history at age 20 in November '86. But Jim Jacobs, Mike's manager, and one of the last people who really cared for him, died in '88.
Yeah.
The Sharks closed in.
Yeah. As soon as Jacob died, it was over. Jacob was still alive, but alright. When Jacobs died, it was over, man.
Don made sure to be present for Jim Jacobs' funeral, being there for him in a low moment. Classic Don King manipulation. Don King was a pallbearer too, despite having no close relationship with the deceased. Don was positioning himself to replace Jim and Cus in Mike's life. But Tyson still had Bill Caton in his corner. Tyson already knew Don's character and allegedly swore he wouldn't sign with King. But Don had a talent for talking to young black kids who came from poverty. He also knew of the lifestyle they craved. Don would accompany Mike to concerts, clubs, and connect Mike with celebrities. Don made sure to have cameras present when he was with Tyson too. Don King was also at Mike's wedding. Mike's new wife, her mom, and Don all became set on detaching Mike from Bill Caton. After Mike's marriage turned rocky a few months later, Don cut Mike's wife from all his bank accounts so he could control them himself. And when Mike and Robin divorced, Don was one step closer to controlling Mike. The next step of Don's plan was firing
Shit, she wasn't no better.
And next, getting rid of anyone else. Don instilled in Mike that it was him and Mike against the world. Mike and Don were in interviews and music videos together. Under Don, Mike quickly went from a perceived shy boy to hanging with rappers, criminals, and racking up lawsuits. By 1990, Mike was still earning Don millions, but he was out of control. February 11, 1990, Tokyo, Japan. One of the most shocking days in all of sports. Mike was due to fight James Buster Douglas. But the night before,
Tyson was
Bobby
out
Brown,
wilding.
and an out-of-shape, untrained
He was
Iron
wilding.
Mike, had a coke-filled orgy with Japanese hookers.
Yeah.
The next day, despite flooring Douglas got back up, stopped Mike in the 10th, and stunned the world. Don's unbeatable fighter didn't seem so invincible anymore. After, everything Mike touched was still box office. But 2 years later, Mike was in prison. After Mike's imprisonment, Don distanced himself from Mike in interviews. He also kept stressing on the fact that Mike wasn't a champ before he met Don. Mike himself had a long 3 years to think in jail. In '95, Don was the first person on the scene when Mike got out.
Hoe ass
Despite
nigga.
this, Mike fired Don the very next day, but rehired him in a press conference 5 days later. Mike and Don were going to make millions more. Mike had started spending big after prison. He needed plenty of cash to maintain this lifestyle. Fast forward to '97, Mike lost by disqualification in a
Beat the
rematch with
fuck
Evander
out.
Holyfield, biting a part of Holyfield's ear off
He bit that nigga
after
twice.
repeated unpunished headbutts. As a punishment, he lost his license and was fined $3 million after the biting incident. To make up for the lost income, he signed up for the WWF, a deal for $3.5 million. But shockingly, the WWF also paid Don King $300,000 for something that he had no involvement in. Whether Mike knew it or not, he had signed his likeness rights away to Don King years ago. 30% of his purse and 30% of his bonuses from Showtime and MGM Grand had been going into Don's pockets as
Damn.
well. Don paid his own family members and for maintenance on his houses too. After this revelation, Mike hired a lawyer to review all the contracts that he had signed over the years. Mike started getting rid of his entourage too. He fired his managers, accounts, and attorneys. In '98, Mike sued Don for $100 million. After the lawsuit, Mike got continually broke, but didn't fall for Don's tricks. Don would offer Mike $20 million on a flight to Miami, but Mike refused.
So I'm on. Don King calls me up and he said, Mike, Jackie gets Don. She's media, so she gets Don on the phone, and Don tells me, I'm with my girlfriend. Don tells me, hey, let's just do this over. I'm gonna give you this 50 million, 25 million, whatever it was. We're gonna squash the lawsuit and everything. And I'm so happy. And then he sends his plane to pick me up. I'm so happy. And I'm so, fuck, I got money. I've been broke for so many years. I'm like, oh, I got fucking 50 million. Also, I tell my girl, come with me. I'm bragging with my girl. We're gonna be loaded. And I had cocaine. So I did the cocaine, right? Everything was beautiful. I did the cocaine. Then I said, this is my fucking plane. This is the money he stole from me. Right? Whoa, nigga. Oh, let me stop. Y'all feel me?
Right.
Wake it up, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I did that cocaine and
It's all the money he stole,
Like, you doing me a fucking favor. This is my fucking plane. At first, I felt like, oh, I'm gonna be balling. I'm in the jet, the fucking, what is the 5 Series, the 6, whatever.
Right.
And I said, the new jet. And then I did, this is my motherfucking plane that he stole my money in, but he's playing me. He playing me like a bitch. He's sending my plane to pick me up. And then my mind started going. And so Don picked me up, right? And I'm fucking thinking, I'm buying. He's like, hey, brother, man, I love you, man. We gonna be rich. Fuck the white people, nigga. And me and you black people together, we got bills. We gonna make millions, nigga. And I'm looking at him, and he's driving. I'm in the back seat, right? And Jackie's in the front seat with him, right? And I'm thinking about, and I is in the back seat of the Rolls Royce. And I know, I go like this. I'm in the back seat, and I just go, boom. And I kicked on, and boom, and the car stopped right in the, no, we're on, is it 95?
95, yeah.
You know how the car's going.
Yeah.
Oh, he go, I'm beating it. I think, Jackie, hold that nigga. I want to get in the front seat. So I said, Jackie, hold this motherfucker, Jackie. Hold, Jackie, you better, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Hold that nigga, Jackie. So I want to get in the front seat for I really do some shit. Right? So, but Jackie gets scared. And said, no, Mike, cause Jackie thinking about the money too, but I lost it. The cocaine made me forget about the money and everything, right? Fuck. And I'm beating this nigga ass, and Jackie doesn't want to hold it, nigga, because Jackie wants the money. I ain't gonna hold you and let you kill it, nigga. We gonna get the money. So Jackie let him go, and I'm so mad at Jackie. I'm so mad at Jackie, right? Yo. And so listen, right? So we're in the middle, me, my girlfriend, and Jackie. I got a box with my weed, and I got cocaine in it, right? And so we're in the middle. The cars are coming by. We're gonna get fucking hit. The cop come and picks us up. And drive me to my hotel and say, you okay, champ, thanks. And that was it. I got the fucking weed is smelling, the cocaine is there. I'm like, fuck. Man. And the cop said, have a good day, champ. I said, fuck. You know, he picked me up on 95 and I'm fighting. And listen, Don King's assistant came because he seen Don had took off, so we did. And so his assistant
Don
came.
started running?
No, he got in the car and took off.
He took off.
Jackie didn't
I'm seeing the hair.
Jackie didn't hold him, right? And so I'm mad at Jackie. So his assistant come over and he thinks that we're there. He said, what the fuck's happening? Since he was with Don, I said, boom, knocked him out cold. Yeah. Right in the street, right in the middle of the fucking highway, he's out cold.
Mike put him down. Mike wasn't playing with it. That is, dang, Don King ruthless, huh?
Wow. And I'm losing it, right? And the cop just came, pick me up and drive me and say, have a good day, champ. Just like that, nothing happened. He ain't trip on the smell of the weed. If you'd have saw that box, you'd have saw that motherfucking 8 balls and shit in there. We just say, have a good day, champ.
Mike declared bankruptcy a few months after the Miami trip. In the end, Don finally got Mike to settle on his terms. He ended up paying Mike $14 million, just enough for Mike to pay his legal fees. Mike left the fight game penniless.
That's crazy.
Mike Tyson's decline would also spell the same for Don King. Evander Holyfield was Don's next cash cow. Holyfield versus Lewis was set up in 1999, and what seemed like a clear win for Lewis was ruled a draw. One of the judges was proven to have ties to Don King too. Sports journalists went after Don King hard, and Don and the judge were called before commission. The second fight was actually close, but with his reputation permanently tarnished, Don was getting increasingly desperate. There was a mass exodus of fighters leaving Don King, and no one wanted to sign with him. Roy Jones Jr. was the biggest fighter Don had left, and he even left Don, buying his own way out of the contract. The Muhammad Ali Act was formed in 2000 to protect fighters. A lot of it was formed simply based on Don King's crooked tactics. Former fighter ran promotions became more common too.
The fact that
Don
Mike
slowly
Tyson,
faded into
bro,
obscurity.
the fact that Mike Tyson was broke after he done got done fighting this. Well, not broke, relative to, but it's crazy. Because Mike Tyson, bro, that's insane. That's just insane.
As for boxing, the sport in general has fallen since Don King's days. Don King was behind the most exciting era in boxing and brought in more money for the fighters and TV networks.
Bro, it would have been cool if he would have just been fair. It's like you don't need all that money, bro. What you doing all that money? Just be fair. Like, why did you need all the money? Why did you need all of it, bro?
And to be fair, wasn't doing anything other promoters weren't. But everything considered, was Don the best or worst thing that happened to boxing?
Both can be true.
Hit Don King with the, Mike Tyson said this and that, and you did this and that, and how do you justify these things? Mike had already signed another promoter. He was coming back for a fight, right? He said, Mike Tyson was with me. He made $20 million a fight, and now he's fighting for 5. Now, I might have stole half, but would you rather half your 20 or all of your 5?
Nigga, give me half my... First of all, bruv, give me my whole 20. Stop playing with me, Don. Nah, Don is ruthless. Let me know what y'all think about Don. I think he was bad for the fight game, and good for the fight game. Because it's like he was good for it because he knew how to set up fights. But anybody could have set them fights, bro. I don't know why. I don't get the whole promotion thing. Why can't they just do what the UFC do? Why can't somebody just build a boxing promotion where they get all the good boxers started off with the number 1 rank? You got ranks, and they gotta fight each other. Ain't no promotion, ain't no nigga. Once you get number 2, you fight number 1. Once you number 3, you fight number 2. 4, but I don't know, man. Let me know in the comments what y'all think though. And I'm gonna see y'all next one, man. No cap.